Right, morning boys and girls. Just the priming of the oil pump video this morning. This is the old pump out of the car. As you all know, it's the same engine that's in the Healy 3000. So we decided to replace this pump because although it was in tolerance, it was showing some signs of wear on the internal side wall. So that pump's been put to a side. Now we've got ourselves a new pump here, and what I'm going to do is, following some advice, prime the pump and obviously make sure everything's nice and clean before we actually start. Now I was advised to get some liquid gasket, so I actually bought this Permatex. I know they use it a lot in America, and I've seen them brushing it on. It goes on very, very thin, and it virtually compresses to zero, but it does seal all the imperfections in your two mating surfaces. So I bought that. It wasn't cheap, but I'm no doubt it'll last for as long as I'm alive. Anyway, you use very little of it, and it does a good job. So yeah, so that's what we've bought for that. We've also got our trusty tub of Vaseline. Apparently we can pack the pump with Vaseline if we want, and also I've got the guy who rebuilt my cylinder head. He uses this for packing the pumps, and it's an assembly grease, and it's for building engines and transmissions, and it's a soft white anti-wear fortified anti-seize grease, and it does actually stop. He uses it for long time storage of rebuilt engines, because it prevents rust and everything. So you can coat various items with it, and then it won't rust up, and you can then start the engine indefinitely in a period later on, you know, if you're leaving your engine unstarted, sort of thing. So yeah, so that's where we are so far. I've got the compressor here, the airline, and all I'm going to do, I'm just going to give these a quick blow through, make sure there's no bits in there, and that's our first part. And obviously the rotor's just dropped like so. Now there is a plug on that end, so I'm quite happy that I can fill that up with my grease. And what I'll do when I take that plug out of the other end, when I take this plug out of the other end, I'll pack that end with Vaseline, because it's a little bit thicker, the Vaseline, than this stuff here. This stuff is quite thin, but it will prime the pump up. And I've been reliably informed that this works perfectly for the job. And again, that's the internal part, and all we're going to do is just drop that in. We are going to drop it in somewhere along the line, like so. And that was the plug just popping off the end, so that's okay. That was the plug popping off the end. Now we don't want to be getting any of this grease let me just get that little bit off. Gone a bit too much there on the edge there, it came out a little bit too fast. We don't want any of this grease on the outside edge of this surface here, because that's where we're going to be putting our Permatex. So what I'm trying to do is just fill up those little cavities without getting it all over the place. And I can put grease in from the other side, from the other end as well. So we've got that there as so. What I'm going to do now, I'm going to get my liquid gasket, and I've seen them on the YouTube videos, and all that they do is they just paint the edge of the surface like so. I'm not going anywhere near the rotor. I can see the mark on the housing where the rotor fits, so I'm keeping it away from there. And I'm quite sure that's adequate. And I'm just filling that cavity there. And I will actually fill the other cavity at the other end with the grease once I've got it assembled. So I'll just pause the video a minute, guys, while I just pick up the right, guys. I just wanted to make sure I got. So we drop that in, and it's just a case of then fastening the screws together. There was no gasket between these two surfaces, and I'm quite sure that the pump would work without the Permatex on it, but apparently this does make sure that it's actually a good airtight seal. There were two smooth surfaces with no gasket. It's just sort of belt and braces, I think. You've got to prime the pump anyway, so I thought, well, why not just give the mating surfaces just a little bit better of a seal, which is what I'm doing there. I know it's a boring video, lads, but you know, these jobs have got to be done. Now, I did undo these screws, so I've got a pretty good idea of how tight they were. There wasn't really, you know, it's not a cylinder head nut that you're tightening down, but you know, just firm. And that there, now you can see the Permatex is just starting to just come out of the edges. I didn't want it inside on the internals, but it is a liquid sealant, and they use it in aviation, so I'm sure it's quite safe for oil and fuel. And then what I'm going to do now, I'm going to fill this with the white grease, and then I'm going to put a plug of Vaseline in, because the Vaseline is a lot thicker than the white grease, and I don't want it running out all over the place. So that'll just seal that. That'll just seal that up for me, and it'll help, you know, filtering the oil through on the initial startup. And I'll do the same again. You can see it's going in there, and that will eventually find its way down. So we've got something for the pump just to start. See, the air bubble came out then, so that will actually pump down there. You lads may want to do it a different way. I'm quite happy doing it that way. And I look at it this way. If it makes you happy, it doesn't make you sad. So, and again, this was the one that popped out. Remember, with the air pressure, you can see that that's full of grease now. It's already run down there, and that is full of grease. this is the drive, I believe, for the way distributor. The end of your distributor goes into this section. I'm not 100% sure about that, but I think that's where that goes. So again, we'll just make sure that we've got plenty of grease and Vaseline, so that when this thing starts, it's not pumping fresh air out. And I can see that there's quite a bit of pressure in there, but I'll just keep it clean. I'm happy that that's there. This pump, by the way, it's also got two threaded studs at the end, each end, and I think that's for cleaning it out. So yeah, I could take them out and I could fill those with grease really as well. But there is grease now in there, and it has got something to work with till we get some oil flowing around the engine. So yeah, it's a basic video, but that's what we've done with the oil pump. It's more of a record for you know, for me rebuilding as well, and if anybody else finds them interesting. But it's just something that I can look back on, you know, for to see what I've done to the engine and see how it's gone, and hopefully it'll help other people along the way. That's the strainer, the oil strainer, which fits on there. So that's where we are so far, guys. So thanks very much for watching, and just give us a thumbs up if you like the videos. You know, if you don't like them, don't give us a thumbs up. So thank you.